Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the franchise. This is episode number 12. Before we get into it, this podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So, however you decide to listen to the franchise, thank you so much, and I truly appreciate it. In today's episode number 12, like I said, there's a lot of things we're going to be going over in this episode from basically every single sport that we cover here, which is basically the big three. In the NFL, I'm gonna give my second power rankings on the season. If you remember, back in week 5, I gave my power rankings, my first power rankings. I did that because I decided week 5 was a good time compared to doing one every single week. So with week 10 of the NFL season on the horizon, we've played 9 weeks. It's time to give my second power rankings and see how things have shaken up. I'm also going to recap NFL Week 9, some of the games, biggest headlines, and stories from Week 9 of the NFL season. The Houston Astros won the World Series. We'll go over that as well as some MLB offseason uh, predictions and rumors and conversations as the MLB offseason is well underway. And we already have some moves that have happened. College football, what a wild weekend it was in the world of college football. Many ranked schools, especially in the top 10, lost. So there's going to be some big shakeup when the actual college football playoff rankings come out. I'll give my top 10 and just analyze some things going on in there. And then we might uh, have some discussions about the NBA. But let's begin things here. I'm going to start it off. Um, we're just going to dive straight into the NFL Power Rankings. Number 2 on the season Power Rankings 2.0. I don't remember. I didn't go back to the video, and I don't even have it saved in my notes. Actually, I might have it saved in my notes, but I'm not entirely sure. Um, But my last power rankings, I do remember my top 3, and it went Bills, Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles. Those are the same 3 teams in my top 3. Those teams are still in conversation for the best 3 teams in the NFL. But the order has changed. We're gonna start with it. I mean, I'm not gonna tease you guys saying that and start from the bottom up. So, number 1 team in the NFL, I have the only undefeated team. I have the Philadelphia Eagles. I know the criticism is that they're playing an easy schedule. When you look at their schedule compared to teams like the Bills, Chiefs, and the other top tier teams in the NFL, their schedule is not the strongest. Play a lot of games against Houston. They played a game against Houston on Thursday. They play Washington. They play, a lot of teams that you wouldn't consider being really tough opponents. But in any given week, any team can win a game. That was definitely proven this week, and it's been proven in weeks past. But when you look at this Eagles team, both sides of the ball are the best of the best. They have one of the best running games in football with a dual threat quarterback in Jalen Hurts. He's going to be in discussions for an MVP. I don't think he's going to win it, but he will definitely be in the conversation to win MVP. You look at their receiving core, A.J. Brown is one of the top 10 receivers. You could even put him top 5 in the NFL. He is incredible. Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert at tight end, Miles Sanders in the backfield at running back. And that offensive line for the Eagles is among one of the best units in the NFL. And then over on the defensive side of the ball, their defense is playing incredible too. Darius Slay is playing amazing in that secondary. So the Eagles, they have a great coach too. They are 8-0. And they're 8-0 for a reason. It's not just because they have an easy schedule. It's because they are putting together well-rounded wins. They're playing incredible football. And overall, this team is right now the best team in the NFL. Excuse me. Number 2, I have the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills are the best team in the AFC, and the Chiefs are very good as well. What they were able to do in their comeback win on Sunday Night Football was incredible for Kansas City. But the Bills, yes, they did just lose to the New York Jets in Week 9, but that team is just too good. Their defense is incredible. Von Miller, uh, Poyer. Um, excuse me. I thought my cough went away, but I guess not. That Bills defense is incredible. And then you look over the offensive side of the ball. Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Josh Allen, the best quarterback in the NFL right now, Josh Allen. They don't have a running game. Josh Allen is really their best running back. I know they got Nyheim Hines from the Colts at the deadline, and they do have Devin Singletary. Um, but this Bills team is too good. They are one of the few teams that is a legit Super Bowl contender. Number 3 is the Chiefs. I mean, I think I've said this really anytime I talk about the Chiefs, they are going to be there at the end of the day. Mahomes is among the top 2 quarterbacks in the NFL, and it's interchangeable. He's one of the best players he's the one of the top 2 players in the NFL. Travis Kelce is the best tight end. The receiving core, Juju Smith-Schuster's been balling out. Valdez-Scantling, and they just acquired Kadarius Toney from the Giants at the trade deadline. So they have a lot of depth at wide receiver. And in that defense, the Chiefs haven't always been known to have one of the best defenses in the game. But with that offense and Patrick Mahomes, I mean, they proved it on Sunday Night Football. They were down in the fourth quarter to the Titans. You put the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hand in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, he's going to find a way to win the game if you guys are down. So the Chiefs, Bills, and Eagles are my top 3. We're going to run through the rest of these a little bit quicker. Number 4, I have the Cowboys. Super Bowl caliber defense, and Dak Prescott at quarterback is going to make this offense just get better and better and better. Number 5, Minnesota Vikings. They're 7-1. They are very good. Their offense just acquired T.J. Hawkinson from their division rival Lions to pair along Jefferson and Thielen and Dalvin Cook. That offense is cooking. Number 6, I have the Giants. I still believe the Giants are frauds. I'll say this until they prove me wrong in the postseason. The New York Giants are not going to be a legit team, but all respect to them for what they have done this season. Number 6. Number 7, I have the Baltimore Ravens. They just won against the Saints on Monday Night Football. You look at Lamar, and I know his offense doesn't have a lot of pieces. It really does not have a lot of weapons going for him, with Andrews being out for this game. Very limited running back group, and I guess you don't need the best running backs behind Lamar because he's able to do so much of it himself. But I do think that Lamar and this team, come postseason time, if they're fully healthy, they can be a team that makes it to a championship game. I don't know if they could win a Super Bowl, but they could definitely make it to, the AFC Championship. 8, I have the Jets. The New York Jets are 6-3. They just beat the Bills. They beat the Packers. They beat many teams that you did not expect them to beat. Zach Wilson is not the best quarterback in the NFL. I'd argue he's one of the worst. But that Jets defense with Sauce Gardner, the defensive rookie of the year, and one of the most elite cornerbacks in the NFL, puts the Jets at number 8. Number 9, I have the Miami Dolphins. 3 teams in the top 10 from the AFC East, 3 teams from the NFC East in the top 10. So the East Coast is dominating the NFL right now. But the Dolphins are very, very good. Waddle and Hill is the best wide receiver duo in the NFL right now. Don't come at me. I mean, who's a better 1-2 wide receiver duo? Mike Gesicki, he was possibly going to be traded at the deadline, did not get moved. They picked up Jeff Wilson in the backfield. And with Tua throwing the ball, the Dolphins are really good when Tua's playing. They've won like all of their games that Tua's played, right? And he's looked like a very good NFL quarterback this season. So they're at number 9. Number 10, I have the Bengals. What a performance they just had on Sunday against the Panthers. Joe Burrow is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the game. And I know Jamar's out, but he'll come back this season with a stacked wide receiver core. Joe Mixon at running back. Yes, their offensive line is going to kill Joe Burrow, but I have full faith in the Bengals the rest of the way. Seahawks are at 11. They're a surprise. The they're winning the NFC West right now. Will this be sustainable? I don't know, but Geno Smith is balling, and Kenneth Walker is one of the best running backs in the game so far. 12 out of the Titans. This team looks better. I mean, it's weird with Malik Willis and Ryan Tannehill. This team, last year, obviously, they were the 1 seed in the AFC, but this team, the Titans are a weird one. That their division sucks. So, I mean, they're going to win the division and they'll be in the playoffs. 13 49ers. I think this team is the team that will win the NFC West regardless of Seattle. I know that they've been balling, but that Niners defense is among one of the best in the league. And adding Christian McCaffrey to that offense will make them much, much better as the season rolls on. 14 Chargers, 15 Bucks. The Chargers defense is horrible, and their offense is not playing great. Herbert hasn't, done a whole lot to really blow you away this season. I know they're missing Keenan Allen. He's only played one game. His hamstring basically doesn't exist anymore. He's been out with a hamstring injury for 9 weeks. So someone please give him a new one. And Mike Williams was out for this game that they played on Sunday. The Buccaneers picked up a win against the Rams, so they're at 15. They're right really in the middle of the pack of the NFL. I might have said it in the last power rankings or a few podcasts ago that I think the Buccaneers are contenders with Tom Brady, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to retract a statement. I don't do that a lot. I don't retract statements that I say on the program. But yeah, I don't think this is the Buccaneers' year. You look at their offense, they have no running game. They rank among one of the worst running teams in the NFL. Their offensive line is horrible, and the receivers drop balls that should be caught. I'm not saying I could catch them, but you could really put any receiver out there on another team, and he's catching those balls. So the Buccaneers are leading their division, but I don't think they are a team that's going to be competing this season, especially for Super Bowl. 16 Atlanta, 17 New England, and 18 the Washington Commanders. 19 I have the Rams. The Rams have really looked disappointing this season. They won't make the playoffs. You heard it here first. Browns at 20. They're just waiting for Deshaun Watson to come back at this point. 21 is the Colts. I'd expect them to get lower the next time we do this. They did just fire their head coach and hired a guy who's never coached before. 22 Green Bay Packers. This is the most surprising team, honestly. I mean, like you look at the team. I mean, this bottom half of teams in the power rankings, you did not expect really most of these teams to be here, right? But the Packers have played absolutely horrible. Every single week, Aaron Rodgers will say that this team just needs to do this, this, and this, and they'll get better. But that's just not happening. This team's not improved. Week in and week out, they've basically stayed the same, if not gotten worse. The Lions, they played the Lions on Sunday. The Lions have the worst defense in the NFL. They allow the most points. They allow the most their defense is horrible. And the Packers only scored 9 points on that defense. Rodgers hasn't looked great. He can blame the wide receivers all he wants, and it's deserving of the blame. I mean, they're dropping balls. They're running the wrong routes. They're just not playing football that you are expecting from this Packers team. So they're at 22, Saints at 23, Broncos 24, Bears 25, Cardinals 26. The Cardinals are horrible. I would expect Cliff Kingsbury to be fired, and for them to take a hard look at the contract they just gave to Kyler Murray. 27, Jaguars, 28, Lions, 29, Raiders. The Raiders are very bad. I'm a Raiders fan, and I thought there was hope for a little bit when we started 1-4, but we're 2-6, and the season's basically over. 30 Steelers, 31 Panthers, and 32 Houston Texans. So that's going to wrap up and round out our second power rankings of the season. We did one week 5. We did a week 10. Expect one before the end of the regular season. Probably do one week 14 or 15, and then one right after the end of the regular season. Just one more time, though. The top 10, Cincinnati Bengals. Number 9, Miami Dolphins. 8, New York Jets, 7 Baltimore Ravens, 6 the New York Football Giants, 5 Minnesota Vikings, 4 Cowboys, 3 Chiefs, 2 Bills, and 1 Philadelphia Eagles. So those are our power rankings 2.0. So, through that, I did kind of, go over some of the biggest things from the past weekend. The biggest story, I guess, right now in the NFL is the Colts. They fired their head coach, Frank Reich, after the start of 3-5-1 to the season. They played horrible against the Patriots in their last game. They only scored 3 points. Patriots ended up beating them 26-3. When you watch this offense for the Indianapolis Colts the whole season, they haven't even looked good. They have not been playing to what you'd expect them to with the guys that they have. They have one of the best offensive lines in the league when you look at the players, right? But when you look at the statistics and you watch it, this offensive line with the guys that they have is playing absolutely horrible. They're playing like they're playing buns, bro. They're playing horrible. They're playing ass. And they have guys on this team. Jonathan Taylor was the best running back in the NFL last season. Michael Pittman Jr. is a very promising wide receiver. Alec Pierce is a promising wide receiver. And then they brought in Matt Ryan, who, the Colts have been looking for a quarterback since Andrew Luck retired in 2019, right? They had Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz. Now they have Matt Ryan. Well, not really. Now they have Sam Ehlinger. I think, you could look hardly and you could really make the argument that they should have stuck with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz played pretty solid last year. When you look at the numbers, I know they didn't make the playoffs, but they're not making the playoffs this year, and you changed quarterbacks because you thought you would. Carson Wentz just brought a lot more explosiveness to the offense, and the offense this year for the Colts has looked horrible. I mean, you only put up 3 points. Sam Ehlinger is not an NFL quarterback. He will ride out most likely for the rest of the season. But I guess we'll see what the new interim head coach Jeff Saturday does. I've never seen this before. A coach get fired and the interim head coach be from outside the building. Usually if you're fired and then you're hiring an interim, it's, oh, we'll just hire this guy off the staff. We'll name him interim head coach, blah, blah, blah. It's never really, we're going to hire a guy from outside the building to be the interim. Oh, this was weird. Jeff Saturday's never coached in the NFL or college. He's coached high school football. But this guy has a relationship with the Colts, with the owner, with the city. So it's very interesting to see what the rest of the season is going to look like for the Colts. Will Jeff Saturday be a good coach? Is he able to turn this season around? They're not going to make the playoffs, but is he going to be able to make this team look good? Because if he can make them look good, he'll have a job next season, get a quarterback he wants, probably in the draft. And then the Colts possibly next season, you're looking at a team that's much more improved. But it's definitely impossible to turn this season around. And it's been rough to see for the Colts because you looked at their team and you're expecting a lot more from them. Another guy I want to mention Justin Fields, because this boy had himself a freaking game. He had one of the greatest performances we've seen in a very long time. I mean, Justin Fields has the record for most rushing yards by a quarterback in a single game. In this game against the Dolphins, in a game that they lost by 3 points, Fields had 3 touchdowns passing. He had a touchdown rushing, 15 carries, 178 yards on the ground, most in NFL history by a quarterback in a single game. The only thing is, after this performance from Justin Fields, there begins the conversation on social media and in the world of sports that Justin Fields has arrived. He is the guy. Justin Fields is him. And I don't want to take anything away from the performance that Justin Fields just had, but we tend to do this a lot in sports. A guy has one amazing game, especially if he's a young guy. If you're an older guy, these happen every once in a while. But if you're a young guy and you're supposed to be the future of your team, right, and you have one incredible game, we kind of tend to say this guy's going to be him. We said it with Tua earlier in the season, and Tua's living up with the hype. Remember Tua had that, what was it, 600-yard passing game with like 25 touchdowns against the Ravens. But Tua's lived up to the hype from that game. You look at Justin Fields, earlier in the season, the Bears did not trust him to throw the football at all. It was, we'll have you throw 10 passes a game and run around, and then this offense will score maybe 6 points. But I mean, I don't want to say that Justin Fields can't be the guy for the Bears going forward, because you watch the film, you look at the game that he just played against the Dolphins, and he looked great. He looked really good. He's very fast. And he can sling the ball. He's a good passer. He's able to throw the ball. So I don't want to rush into giving Justin Fields, all the praise and all the glory. Going forward, I mean, he had a great game, so I'll give him that. He played one of the best games of the season so far. And I do think there's promise for Justin Fields, and I do hope that he is good for the rest of his career. I mean, the Dolphins, too. I just want to mention them because they played the Bears. Their receiving duo is the best in the NFL. Best 1-2 receiving duo in the game. No other duo comes close. I mean, like, just trying to think, what's another receiving duo that's as good as Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith? No. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen? No. You cannot name a better receiving duo than Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. The Houston Astros, they won the World Series. They beat the Phillies in 6 games. Jeremy Pena, rookie shortstop, wins World Series MVP. Well deserved. I thought it was going to be Jordan just because he hit the home run in Game 6 to basically win them the World Series. But it went to Jeremy Pena, who definitely deserved it. I think you look at the postseason he had against Seattle, the Yankees, and the Phillies. He played incredible. He filled in the shoes that Carlos Correa left when he signed with the Twins in the offseason. He's filled that void perfectly. Then the Astros really, I mean, you look at the American League going forward looking at next season, what team legitimately can make a shot, can give the Astros a run for their money? The Yankees, no. The Yankees have the possibility of losing Aaron Judge, and even if they sign Judge back, the Astros have had the Yankees numbers for the past like 5 years. So the Yankees, no. Toronto, they're on the come up, but I mean they got to win a wild card series first before they can even talk about them beating the Astros. They have some nice nice players in Vladdy, Bo Bichette, but Bo Bichette's horrible defensive shortstop. Matt Chapman, their pitching staff is pretty solid. Alek Manoah is a Cy Young finalist, which is something I'll mention. I just remembered the award finalists got announced, so we'll go over those in a little bit. But yeah, like what American League team is going to challenge the Astros? Cleveland? Cleveland had a great season, but they're so young. Will they be back next season? The White Sox could be good again, but they're not better than the Astros. The Mariners are probably the closest team, and they're in their division. I'm an Angels fan, and I'm not going to say the Angels because the Angels, honestly, next season will probably be the same as they are every single year. So the Astros are going to basically be in the World Series next year out of the American League. They swept the Yankees and they swept the Mariners. No team in the American League gave them a loss in the postseason. Before we get to the award finalist, no, we'll do that first because then we'll do some quick MLB off-season predictions. But looking at the award finalist, out of the 3 finalists for each category, AL MVP finalists Yordan Alvarez, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani. NL MVP finalists are Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, Manny Machado. Goldschmidt's going to win NL MVP. I think I talked about this in the episode where I previewed the postseason. Um, Goldschmidt had an incredible season. Aaron Judge will win MVP too. I want to give it to Ohtani, especially after the postseason the Judge had, but this is a regular season award. The MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, they're only about the regular season. Or supposed to be. Rookie of the Year for the National League, Harris, Strider, and Donovan. For the American League, Stephen Kwan, Julio Rodriguez, Adley Rutschman. It's going to be Julio Rodriguez, and for me, it's either going to be Michael Harris or Spencer Strider. Cy Young, Dylan Cease, Manoah, and Verlander in the American League, Alcantara, Fried, and Urias in the NL. Justin Verlander will win the Cy Young. Same thing with Sandy Alcantara. And then Manager of the Year, Dave Roberts, Buck Showalter, Brian Snitker, and then Terry Francona, Brandon Hyde, Scott Service. How is Rob Thompson not a finalist for Manager of the Year? He just led the Phillies to the World Series. He was named the interim after Joe Girardi got fired in June. Turned the team around, and they just took the Astros to 6 games in the World Series. When you look at these 3 managers for the National League Award, all 3 of them failed to do what they're supposed to do in the postseason. For the American League, it's either going to go, all 3 of these guys really deserve it. The Orioles played amazing this season. They're supposed to be horrible. They almost made the playoffs. Mariners entered a 21-year postseason drought, and the Cleveland Guardians won a division that they weren't supposed to win. So those are the finalists. MLB offseason predictions. This offseason, when you look at the free agency class, not one of the strongest compared to last year and years prior. Going through some of the top guys, Aaron Judge is the top commodity of the offseason of the free agency class. Teams, like the Yankees, Mets, Giants, Dodgers, those are going to be the teams that are really going to try and make a push. Where does he go? Where does Aaron Judge go? For me, it's between 2 teams. I'm not, the Giants have been rumored they're going to freaking go out there and spend $1 billion on Aaron Judge. But for me, it's between 2 teams. That is the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's going to go to one of those 2 teams. I don't know which one yet, so I'll have to save him for last. Jacob deGrom, I have him going back to the Mets. The Braves are a popular pick because he's from Georgia, but I just can't see the Mets losing the best pitcher in the game. I know they have Scherzer and they have other guys on that staff, but you can't lose Jacob deGrom. You have to sign him back. Carlos Rodon, I can see him. He opted out from his contract with the Giants. He pitched amazing last season. For me, he's either going to go to the Angels, the Cardinals, or the Giants. Trey Turner, I have him re-signing with the Dodgers. The Phillies are a popular choice, but as you'll find out right now, I have Carlos Correa going to the Phillies. He opted out from the Twins. There's really only a few teams that are going to be able to sign Correa. The Dodgers, maybe the Angels, but I don't think so. You can put the Cubs, the Yankees. But for me, I think he goes to the Philadelphia Phillies. They need a shortstop. They need someone else to add to that team, to that lineup. And if it's not Trey Turner, it's Carlos Correa. Xander Bogaerts, he's going to re-sign with the Red Sox, even though he did just opt out. And there is the possibility that Boston doesn't want to pay him a good chunk of change. I think he's going to re-sign with the Red Sox. Dansby Swanson, I have him leaving the Braves. I have him going to Seattle. The Mariners are going to, want to go out and improve their roster and compete with the Astros in the American League. And shortstop-wise, J.P. Crawford played bad defense. So adding a guy like Dansby Swanson, who's improved basically every single year offensively and is a strong defender, is going to help out Seattle. Clayton Kershaw, he's a free agent again. When are we going to stop the Texas Rangers conversation? Because he's not going to the Rangers. He's either a Dodger or he's retiring. I don't care if he was born in Arlington, Texas, and grew up in Dallas or wherever. He's not going to the Rangers. He's going to be a Dodger for life, or he's going to retire tomorrow. Anthony Rizzo, I have him leaving the Yankees. I have him going to the San Diego Padres where his career started. Um, Bassett from the Mets, I think he's either going to go to the St. Louis Cardinals or the Dodgers. The Dodgers need to add more pitching. I mean, you look at their team. Buehler will come back maybe at the end of the season. He got Tommy John. Urias is there. Kershaw, I have him signing back. Um, Justin May, Tony Gonsolin, but like they need another guy. So I think Bassett's either going to go there or he'll sign with the Cardinals, who basically the same case for them. They need pitching. Wilson Contreras, former catcher of the Cubs, he's either going to go to St. Louis to fill up the Yadier Molina void, the Yankees, or the Astros. Brandon Nimmo is going to resign with the Mets, and Justin Verlander will definitely, no question about it, resign with the Houston Astros. So where does Aaron Judge go? I think Aaron Judge is going to go to the Dodgers. Yeah. You know, the Yankees will be in there till the end. The Giants are a popular pick because he's from the Bay Area. But you look at what the Dodgers have done for the past like 20 off seasons. I mean, not actually, but like the past few off seasons. Trade for Mookie Betts. 2020 off season trade for Mookie Betts. Done. Next off season, Trevor Bauer has a Cy Young year in 2020. Boom, Trevor Bauer gets signed to the team. Freddie Freeman, next off season, gets signed to the team. So who's the big free agent that the Dodgers are going to sign this year? Yeah, I know Trey Turner might be the big guy, but he's re-signing with them, so he doesn't count. Kershaw's re-signing with them. Aaron Judge, bro. It doesn't make sense to me why they would want or need Aaron Judge. Well, I mean, I understand why they want him. He's Aaron Judge, but why do they need him? I mean, their outfield is stacked. Mookie Betts can play right. You mean you could put him in center. Cody Bellinger is a Gold Glove the Gold Glove defender. But offensively, he has not been the same player since 2019. So you add Aaron Judge. I mean, Aaron Judge could DH for you. Aaron Judge can play center, left, right. I mean, you look at the Dodgers, right? You'll have Freddie Freeman at first, Gavin Lux most likely at second base. I have Trey Turner going back, playing shortstop. Third base could be Justin Turner, Max Muncy, Chris Taylor, one of their prospects that's going to come out of nowhere and be freaking incredible because they're the Dodgers. Will Smith behind the plate. Then your outfield can be Betts, Judge, Bellinger. The Dodgers would still, with that team, win 162 games and lose in the playoffs, though. So I think Aaron Judge is going to the Dodgers. I really do. I mean, the Yankees, the way the season ended with the Yankees, I just don't know. I mean, he wants to be a pinstripe. He said that in the past. I think at the end of the day, the Dodgers are going to offer a lot of money. I don't know. It just seems like something that the Dodgers would do, and I think it's going to happen this offseason. Finally, college football. What a wild weekend it was in college football. We had incredible games. I mean, Tennessee and Georgia played each other, the number 1 and number 3 ranked schools in the country, according to the college football playoff rankings. They played each other. Tennessee lost. Tennessee looked horrible. Georgia owned them. Clemson lost. They lost to Notre Dame. Clemson's basically done. Alabama lost their second game. They lost to LSU. TCU won their 9-0. So, I mean, the AP poll dropped their rankings for this week. These ones don't really matter anymore, though. Like, the AP poll only matters until week 10, because after that, the college football playoff rankings come out, and those are the only ones that matter. But we have to wait till Tuesday to get those. So, AP poll, new top 25. Georgia is at number 1, and Ohio State are at number 2. Michigan at number 3, and TCU jumps in, and they're at number 4. Tennessee falls from number 2 down to number 5 with the loss to Georgia. Oregon is at number 6. LSU is at 7. USC 8. UCLA 9. Alabama 10. Clemson dropped all the way from number 4 down to number 12. My problem with this list is LSU being ranked number 7. They're a 2-loss team. They're a 2-loss team, and they are ranked number 7 in the country. I don't care that they just beat Alabama in overtime. And that is an impressive win because Alabama, yes, they've lost 2 games, and they've had a close game against Texas. They could be a 3-loss team right now. Bama could be a 3-loss school. But they could also be undefeated. So Bama's still good, regardless of their record. LSU has 2 losses. They should not be ranked this high. I mean, they lost to Florida State, and they've lost to Tennessee. They do have some nice wins. I mean, they beat Bama and they beat Ole Miss, number 6 and number 7 at the time. I mean, like outside of that, I mean, Florida was good in the beginning of the season. Florida State's not good. Mississippi State, New Mexico. I mean, anyone can beat New Mexico and Auburn. So a 2-loss team like LSU should not be ranked in the top 10. All right, if you want to put Bama in there, that's fine because Bama could be undefeated right now. But LSU is not a top 10 school, especially with teams like USC and UCLA right behind them. And I know USC gives up a lot of points. Their defense is horrible. But Caleb Williams is going to win the Heisman Trophy. And I want to freaking talk about this. All right. CJ Stroud is, I don't think he's going to win the Heisman anymore. Ohio State's had some rough weeks. Even though they've won every single game, they've had some rough weeks. So I don't think CJ Stroud will win a Heisman Trophy. Hendon Hooker with the loss probably won't win the Heisman. Bryce Young won't win the Heisman. Caleb Williams, I mean, he should be in the conversation nationally to win the Heisman Trophy. This guy is one of the best quarterbacks in the sport of college football and will be an amazing NFL quarterback. He is so freaking good, right? I mean, the Pac-12, the Pac-12 is insane this year. Look at the rankings. Washington, top 25 school. Utah, UCLA, USC, and Oregon are all ranked in the top 25. My rankings, if I was able to rank and they actually meant something besides, I mean, my rankings don't mean anything, but if they actually meant something, how would I rank these teams? Number 1 team in the country is Georgia. It's pretty obvious. They just kicked the crap out of Tennessee, who was ranked number 1. Number 2, I have Michigan. They just have more impressive wins. I know Ohio State, both of those 2 schools, I guess, are interchangeable, but Michigan's played more consistent football than Ohio State. Number 3, I put Ohio State. 4, I put TCU. 5, I'd put Tennessee. 6, Oregon. 7, USC. 8, UCLA. 9, Bama. 10, Ole Miss. 11, LSU. 12, Clemson. 13, Utah. That would be my rankings. But once again, mine nor the AP polls matter anymore because Tuesday, November 8th, is when we will get our second college football playoff rankings. I'd expect a big shakeup. I'd expect the top 4 to have TCU, Michigan, Ohio State, and Georgia in it. Tennessee won't. There's no way Tennessee remains in the top 4. If Tennessee tomorrow remains in the top 4 and TCU, an undefeated school, is at 5, that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for the podcast. The Lakers lost again. The Lakers are horrible. They just got blown out by the Jazz. The Jazz are the number 1 team in the Western Conference right now. Yeah. We'll talk about the NBA, in a future episode a little more in detail. Talk about what's going on in the league and all this stuff. But for this episode, that's going to wrap it up. Give my all 32 power rankings. Number 2, ranked all of the teams. Just did a quick, little conversation about the NFL Week 9, as well as the MLB offseason and the World Series and college football. going forward. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of the franchise. Once again, podcast available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And I'll catch you guys in the next episode.